I get it. Basically, any use of Star Wars music in a video gets said video an immediate copyright claim, fair use or not. But I won't let this deter me. After all, the show must go on, right? So now let me show you my newest meme. SS reviews Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy while I play unfitting music. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. We live in a society that is surrounded by fans of this series. Myself included, I've avidly watched the movies since I was a kid, to the point where I don't even remember when I learned about Episode 5's plot twist. Actually, a joke I have with my friends is that I came out of the womb knowing Darth Vader's secret. But I'm not here to specifically talk about the movies. It's the games I'm here for, baby. The Star Wars series has been graced with dozens of games in several different genres. You got the Star Wars and Super Star Wars games on NES and SNES giving you your platforming goodness, X-Wing and TIE Fighter providing flight simulator goodness, Empire at War for your real-time strategy needs, Star Wars Trilogy Arcade providing one of the best arcade experiences I've ever had, and LEGO Star Wars because, come on, it's a LEGO game by Traveler's Tales, it's gonna be good. Wait, didn't I just review a game also by Traveler's Tales? That's kinda spooky. Yeah, anyway, out of all the Star Wars games I played, and I barely scratched the surface, I have the most experience with Apprentice of the Force on Game Boy Advance, Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles on Dreamcast, and the Star Wars Dark Forces series. Specifically, the final two entries, Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. But first, roots. Star Wars Dark Forces was a 1994 MS-DOS and classic Mac OS game that capitalized on the growing popularity of the first-person shooter, made famous by Doom in 1993. Unlike other games, Dark Forces wasn't actually based on Doom's engine. It was actually an in-house engine created by the late LucasArts. Man, I miss LucasArts. Even their non-Star Wars games were amazing. Grim Fandango, Sam and Max Hit the Road, The Secret of Monkey Island? Those were great games that I thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah, anyway, Dark Forces put you in control of a mercenary named Kyle Katarn who does various missions for the Rebellion. While it was criticized for being a Doom clone in a time where Doom clones were all over the place, much like Battle Royale games are today, it proved to be very superior. It was very successful and got a direct sequel in 1997 called Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. It released only on Windows, the Mac missed out this time. In it, Kyle's father is murdered by a Dark Jedi over a place called the Valley of the Jedi. Kyle tracks down this Dark Jedi and learns the ways of the Force and lightsaber skills along the way. The game also got an expansion pack, what we used to call DLC, a year later called Mysteries of the Sith, where you could play as Mara Jade, a key character in the expanded universe, in a new story. And after those, we get to the two games I have the most experience with. Once the new millennium passed, it was time for things to get awesome! Hands down, my favorite Star Wars game of all time, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, released in 2002 for Windows, Mac OS X, GameCube, and Xbox. The game begins with Kyle giving up the Force and his lightsaber, but he quickly realizes he needs them back to face a new evil. After defeating this enemy, making a long story short here, Kyle decides to hang on to his abilities and even becomes a teacher at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy. Which brings us to, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, released in 2003 for Windows, Mac OS X, and Xbox. The GameCube missed out this time, not really sure why. It was probably related to graphics. The GameCube can push out some great video, but the Xbox really trumped it in every way. The game directly built on the foundation Jedi Outcast established, and expanded on what made it so fantastic in the first place. Jedi Outcast, I'll review you eventually. Anyway, for the first and only time in the series, you don't actually play as Kyle Katarn at all. Instead, at the beginning of the game, you can create your own character from one of 6 different categories. Human male, Keldor male, Rodian male, human female, Twi'lek female, or Zabrak female. You can also customize your lightsaber, choosing the color and hilt you want. I pretty much always go for an orange saber, because I can't think of a single instance where a popular Jedi has ever had an orange saber. For this review specifically, I have done 2 playthroughs of the game. One is a male Keldor with an orange saber, and one is a female human with a purple saber. You'll see why further in the review. Why Keldor, you ask? Don't laugh. It's because I played as Plo Koon in Jedi Power Battles. Anyway, once you do that, the story begins. Jedi Academy takes place 10 years after the Battle of Endor in Episode 6. The story begins with Jaden Core, great name that works for both genders by the way, riding in a shuttle to the Academy. Another student, Rosh Pennon, quickly runs over to meet you and makes small talk, but the shuttle suddenly crashes a distance away from the Academy on Yavin 4. Because Jaden already has a lightsaber, you assist Rosh in getting to the Academy, but after encountering 2 stormtroopers and a dark Jedi in that order, and finding out that they're pathetic pieces of bantha crap, Jaden overhears a group of people using a scepter to siphon some sort of energy from a nearby temple. Jaden accidentally gives their presence away, and the leader uses the scepter to knock him or her out. When Jaden wakes up, they are met by the aforementioned Kyle Katarn, who arrived after the shuttle crash to pick up the students. Luke Skywalker also arrives to investigate what happened at the temple, and he discusses this situation with Kyle. They agree that the priority now is to begin training the new students, so everyone heads back to the Academy to assign students to their teachers. Because the Academy is so short on Jedi, probably from the attack in Jedi Outcast, both Jaden and Rosh are assigned to Kyle, who immediately takes them out to train. Rosh, unfortunately, has an unhealthy competitive spirit, and he sends a combat training droid against Jaden near the end of the session. It causes a little bit of a delay, but it proves to not be too much for Jaden. Kyle berates Rosh for this, noting that if the droid was set to Luke's training level, Jaden easily would have been killed. I don't know, it wasn't that hard of a fight. But then again, I played Jedi Outcast a lot. Rosh's attitude is something that's constantly addressed throughout the game, and it leads to some important plot points down the road. As well, Kyle notices that Jaden is having a little bit of resentment for Rosh after the attack, and warns him to keep control of it, because as we all know, anger leads to the dark side. After the training session, the missions begin. Jedi Academy isn't as linear in terms of level progression as the other games in the series, giving you a list of 5 possible missions at a time, and only requiring you to complete 4 to proceed to the next part of the story. Because each mission is self-contained, it doesn't really impact the story in any major ways. I won't go into details of each mission, just a brief synopsis, and maybe some interesting details that are noteworthy. The missions send you to several different planets around the galaxy, many of which are familiar locales from the movies, such as Tatooine, Coruscant, and even Hoth. Once in the level, you'll be given a general direction, and then the game opens up to let you proceed with that mission. A lot of the time, though, it'll end up being without Kyle at your side for various reasons. For instance, in your first mission to Tatooine at Mos Eisley, Kyle goes into a cantina to get information on the strange people who, we find out later, are part of a Sith cult. After Kyle leaves, though, Jaden runs into Chewbacca, and they team up to release the Millennium Falcon and Kyle's ship, the Raven's Claw, from tractor beams. The very next mission, back on Tatooine for some reason, Kyle sends you after a sandcrawler alone to retrieve an R4 unit while he goes to talk to some local moisture farmers about the cult.
This is not the droid we're looking for.
And in the very next mission on Bakura, another problem prevents Kyle from meeting Jaden at the right time. And after waiting a while, Jaden decides to stop the Imperial remnants, what was left over after the Emperor was killed, from blowing up the facility itself. It sucks that Kyle tries really hard to be there for Jaden, while Jaden ends up having to complete the mission without much help. But the fact that Jaden can do it says a lot about the potential he or she has as a Jedi. After a few missions, we get a cutscene showing some of the students in the waiting room having a conversation about how their missions are going. Rosh has the idea in his head that Kyle is holding him back, not letting him do any of the important stuff. Another student tells him to dismiss the idea, as Kyle is just observing how he completes missions. After Jaden walks in, the two begin to scuffle until Kyle arrives just in time to take the 2 students on more missions. I don't know what's up with Rosh at this point, but I have a feeling the story is going to center more on him down the road. The next mission takes you to Blingeel, where a merchant ship was shot down by the remnant, who didn't want their presence known, apparently. The planet, however, is swarming with sand burrowers, who ate all the survivors. Jaden crashes onto the planet due to an electrical storm, and ends up having to swipe parts from the crashed ship to get off the planet. Your 5th mission then takes Jaden and Kyle to Corellia, where they have to stop the cultists from blowing up a tram. Not much more to say about this mission, it's kinda straightforward. Afterwards, Luke calls everyone back to the Academy, and begins to explain what's going on with the cultists. They're siphoning dark side force energy out of the temples using that staff that the leader had. As well, when Luke left the Academy to attend to the crashed shuttle, one of them broke into Luke's quarters and stole information from his journal about places where he had felt a strong connection to the Force. Luke decides to split everyone up to go find these locations and protect them from the cultists. Jaden is sent to Hoth, where he has to find it and enter Echo Base. Yes, the same one from Empire Strikes Back. It's already overrun with stormtroopers, unsurprisingly, and Jaden is able to
find the computer room!
Just in time to spot a dark Jedi tracking coordinates to Dagobah, where Yoda lived in hiding. Jaden tracks the enemy's communications to a Sith apprentice named Alora, the one who broke into Luke's quarters at the beginning of the game. Jaden challenges her to a battle, but before any damage is done, she escapes, leaving Jaden to shake his or her fist madly at her. Again, let me bring up that Jaden is angry here. Jaden reports the information immediately, but by the time Luke gets to Dagobah, it was too late. The cultists beat them there, and siphon the dark side aura. So as to not discourage Jaden, Kyle and Luke let him go on 5 more missions while they try to figure out why the cultists are going this far. However, another issue has arisen. Rosh has not returned from his assignment at Biss. So alongside the cult showing up everywhere, Kyle now has to figure out what happened to Rosh. The next few missions get tougher, but Jaden is growing more powerful too. I think this is a good time to break and talk about force power progression through this game. Core force abilities, those being jump, push, pull, speed, and sense, as well as your handling of a lightsaber, progress naturally throughout the story. What I mean is, after each group of missions in the story levels, every core force ability increases by 1 level. So for the first 5 missions, push, pull, and etc. are all at level 1. For the next 5 missions, they're at level 2. And for the last levels of the game, your core abilities are maxed out. As for specific light and dark side abilities, that's where your customization and the replayability of the game comes in. You can increase any light or dark side power by 1 point before going on each mission. I always start off with Force Heal, because I can never be too careful when going on a mission. I can always find a moment to break off and heal myself, so the fact that I have to stay completely still at first to heal is not a problem to me. Kyle and Luke will notice what powers you prefer, and after a set of missions are completed, they will either praise or share concern for you, depending on how built up either your light side or dark side powers are. As I stated before, the next few missions do demand your increased abilities, but that makes the missions all the more fun in many ways. You can jump farther, you can pull weapons out of soldiers' hands, and you can push said soldiers off of cliffs. These are the most fun things that I can do as a Jedi, no matter which side I favor for powers. I usually stick to light side powers, but in my second playthrough I prioritize dark side powers, so I quickly maxed out Force Lightning and Force Grip. On the light side, I stick to heal, protect, and a little bit of mind trick to play with soldiers down the road and sneak past them, but blasting foes with a single fully charged blast of Force Lightning is honestly very satisfying, as well as grabbing an enemy and flinging them off a cliff when a push won't do. You're also able to throw your lightsaber, having it spin into enemies. This is good for dealing with 1 or 2 threats in the distance right after facing some enemies close up. As well, you're allowed to now pick a new saber style. There are 3 saber styles in the game: medium, which you start with, fast, and strong. You can pick either fast or strong as your new style as you progress to the next few missions. And speaking of which, the missions do get a bit varied in Tier 2, and this is where the fan service really starts to shine. The first mission you undertake involves rescuing prisoners of a Hutt crime lord, Arnar Cretan. Apparently they met him at his palace and never returned. So yeah, we gotta go in and rescue them, but there's one problem. After releasing them, you have to escort them to the exit while protecting them from a freaking Rancor. Yes, the same beast from Return of the Jedi. I found that it was easier to, after escorting the first group of prisoners, just release them all one after another and escort them all at the same time. The game does want you to escort one group at a time, but I found this easier. After that, you head to Zunju 5, where you're supposed to meet a worker who had important information about the Disciples of Ragnos. Unfortunately, as you meet up with him, he's sniped, so you just have to get back to your ship and get off the planet. Next, you work alongside General Wedge Antilles, yes, the same pilot from A New Hope, to shut down a remnant base on Krildor. Next, you go to Coruscant to capture a crime lord that's been distributing illegal battle droids in the black market, but he's not exactly welcoming to you. One thing of note while playing this mission, I noticed that in my dark power playthrough, I had a much easier time fighting these droids, because a full blast of Force Lightning wiped them out. The light power playthrough, I struggled a lot fighting them. In hindsight though, I probably should have taken the Depth 2 with me. Oh, shoot, how could I forget? Alongside upgrading of force power each mission, you also get a selection of weapons to take with you alongside your saber. 2 projectile weapons, and 1 throwable. The list grows as you progress through the game as you encounter enemies with stronger weapons that you end up bringing back. Each weapon from Jedi Outcast is back. You get a standard pistol that you can also charge, the E11 Stormtrooper rifle that isn't very accurate, go figure, a sniper rifle that can disintegrate opponents, a Wookiee bowcaster, Imperial repeaters and flechette weapons, the aforementioned Depth 2, which fires electric charges, and a rocket launcher, as well as thermal detonators, trip mines, and remote detonators. There is one new weapon in this game though, the Stalker Concussion Rifle, easily the most powerful weapon in the game. It fires a single, devastating, ammo-eating shot, that even makes you buckle beneath its power. It's extremely dangerous, so I don't recommend using it in close quarters. You also can't deflect it with your lightsaber, but if you have enough reaction room, you can force push it back. Alright, I got off track. Where was I? Oh, right. The next mission then has you headed to Dosun. Kyle's instructions to Jaden were not to make any contact with the remnants. But as soon as he lands, he's ambushed and captured. The leader on the planet, Rax Joris, swipes Jaden's lightsaber and tells him or her that he's up for a bit of sport. Since apparently things are really boring on Dosun, he releases Jaden from prison and declares that if he or she can make it back to the ship alive, they can go free. But again, the place is crawling with remnant troops, and not having your lightsaber definitely makes things more difficult. Luckily, you can still use the Force. Not far into the level, Rax equips his concussion rifle and begins firing at you with the plan of eliminating you himself. You have no choice but to dodge him and fire back, meaning you have to kill him to get off the planet. After the next few missions, Luke calls everyone back and tells them that the cultists were now identifying locations Luke didn't actually mention in his journals. So he sends the Jedi to various other locations that had Force energy. Since they lost Rosh last time, Luke sends them in pairs, so Kyle and Jaden go together to Vijun, the location of Darth Vader's castle. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't set up shop on Mustafar, but considering that's where he was hacked and slashed... moving on, Kyle and Jaden end up leaving a trail as they sneak in, as they had to destroy a power generator to get to the upper levels. After being separated from Kyle, Jaden pushes onward and discovers a familiar face in front of him. In what's supposed to be a shocking turn of events, the man standing in front of him wielding a red lightsaber is Rosh Pennon. Jaden tries to talk him out of it, but he won't have it, so the two have to duel. Jaden is outmatched at first, as Rosh also has two guards helping him fight and healing him, but if they go down, Rosh doesn't last too long afterwards. Honestly though, because of his development in the story so far, I wasn't very surprised that Rosh had turned. He looked like he was heading for that, constantly being angry at Kyle for holding the back, and seeing everything as a competition, especially against Jaden. So seeing this for the first time didn't give me the gasping reaction they probably wanted. Actually, I was pretty sarcastic the whole time I fought him.
I sense your presence, Jaden.
Unfortunately, as Jaden is about to defeat Rosh, the head honcho of the cultists storms the scene and finally reveals their identity. And it's none other than Tavion Axmus, the apprentice of the Dark Jedi Dasan from Jedi Outcast. When Kyle killed Dasan, Tavion took responsibility and whatever reborn were left, and created a new army. This time bent on resurrecting the darkest lord of the Sith, Marka Ragnos. This reveal completely bites Kyle in the butt, as the last time he and Tavion butted heads in Jedi Outcast, he spared her life after defeating her in combat. So now that she's large and in charge, Kyle is probably regretting that, and running out of energy protecting Jaden and himself from falling rocks. Jaden loses his lightsaber thanks to Tavion attacking them with it and destroying it, so he uses Kyle's to carve a path to escape. Kyle and Jaden report everything, including Rosh's turn to the dark side and Tavion's role in the operation, to Luke at the Academy. Jaden then theorizes that Tavion has not just been storing Force energy, but empowering troops with that energy to create new reborn Dark Jedi. With that new knowledge and for his hard work, Jaden is promoted to Jedi Knight. After the meeting, Jaden constructs a new lightsaber. This is where you're given 3 different directions to proceed for your lightsaber. The first choice is you can construct a new single saber, and learn the last fighting style depending on what you chose first. Secondly, you can opt for dual sabers. I call this the real showcase of the ability, as Anakin failed spectacularly at it in Attack of the Clones.
Oh, you stink!
Each saber can be of a different hilt and color as well, so I usually go for orange and blue. Now this is a light show. The last and probably coolest addition to the lineup is a dual-bladed saber, or a saber staff as the game calls it. You know, that thing that made Darth Maul cool besides his face paint. Just like the fight in Episode 1, you'll be flipping all over the place with this thing, and it's dang cool. As well, if you choose the saber staff, you're given the ability to kick for the first time. It's honestly satisfying kicking people down or off cliffs because, unlike a Force push, Dark Jedi can't protect themselves from it. In my 2 playthroughs, I gave the Keldor male dual sabers, orange and blue, and the girl a purple saber staff. We've gone this far on a single saber, we get the idea of how it works. This leads directly into the last set of missions, where you'll really be tested. The first mission sends you to Chandrila, where Savion has sent her troops to infiltrate the tomb of the third Barzan Thor of the Jedi Order. What's a Barzan Thor? Still hunting for that force power, I see. Jaden stops the cultists and seals up the tomb with no issues. Next, Jaden heads to Tanith, where he discovers the cultists were experimenting on another Rancor! One wasn't enough! It's mutated and it has an attitude, so Jaden has to make his way through the facility and find a way to trap it. The cultists were planning to unleash it onto the city and use the ensuing chaos to steal crap.
Well, that's a fine kettle of fish.
After that beautiful mess, Jaden heads to Alara after Jedi historian Tion learned about a cloaking device set up there many years ago by Jedi Master Broden Kel Verdox. I hope I'm not butchering these names. Jaden goes to destroy said cloaking device after Luke realizes that others might know about it. But when he gets there, he's ambushed by Nogri, then encounters stormtroopers and, again, Dark Jedi, all of them fighting each other for the device. Jaden successfully makes it to the top and destroys the device. Next came the matter of Biss, the area Rosh was sent to investigate and ended up captured in. Because of what happened to Rosh, Kyle for once decides to go along with Jaden, just in case. When they get there though, all the dark side presence was gone, meaning Tavion had already gotten there. But before they can leave, an Imperial Dreadnought catches them in a tractor beam, meaning they now have to wreck the ship from inside to escape. There's not much to say about this mission except you really wreak havoc in this ship. Kyle even activates the ship's self-destruct function. Now, this isn't as epic as Kyle wiping out soldiers and calling Rogue Squadron from inside the Doomgiver and Jedi Outcast, but this is a close second in my opinion. And then, you're presented with your final mission, to destroy weapon stockpiles on Ord Mantell. Theoretically a simple mission, but one thing changes everything. Look out everyone, it's Boba Fett! So not only are you to go around the map and destroy stockpiles of weapons, you have to do it while being shot at by the galaxy's most famous bounty hunter. A simple mission changed forever. Thanks for a good time, you Mandalorian moron. A Mandaloran, if you will. With that said, it's time to end this game. Luke gathers everyone together for one final update. Luke suspects that the cultists plan to use all the Force energy they've gathered to resurrect Marka Ragnos. And that, my friends, is bad. So Luke has a plan to take all available Jedi to raid the tomb on Korriban before they can get to it. After the briefing, everyone suits up to go, but Kyle pulls Jaden aside to tell them that he got a distress signal from Rosh. He's being held on Tasper 3 inside an Imperial facility. Kyle plans to go rescue Rosh before going to Korriban, and Jaden, after some hesitation, decides to go too. They both infiltrate the facility in separate entrances, but Jaden encounters Alora several times throughout the level. Alora senses the anger in Jaden and takes the opportunity to tease and trick him, with plans on turning him to the dark side. Jaden, however, is having a lot of trouble containing his hatred, but presses onward and finds Rosh. Rosh begs Jaden not to hurt him, and it becomes a mind battle, as both Kyle and Alora urge Jaden to join their side. That's right, folks, this is the reason I played the game twice. There's a light side ending, and a dark side ending. You can either put away your lightsaber and stay on the light side, or attack Rosh and join the dark side. The game's ending does slightly change depending on which side you choose, but we'll get there when we get there. Each choice ends with a battle against Alora in that level. If you choose the light side, the fight is, well, a Jedi fighting a Sith. If you go dark side, Jaden decides that he wants the Scepter of Ragnos for himself, and will stop anyone who gets in his way. Kyle rushes to Rosh's aid in both stories, but if you choose the dark side, then Rosh dies. You killed Rosh, you jerk. He lives in the light side story, and Kyle takes him to medical aid immediately. Jaden then goes to Korriban to meet the other students. This is where the game's difficulty changes depending on which side you chose. If you chose the light side, you only have to fight the Dark Jedi, and you have the students and teachers helping you. But if you choose the dark side, everyone is your enemy. Everyone! It's a long path through to the tomb, and you see quite a bit of Korriban along the way. But eventually you make it to Ragnos' tomb, and guess who's already there? Everyone's best nemesis Tavion, that's who. Either side begins with a battle against Tavion, but the final boss of the game changes depending on your path. If you choose the light side, Tavion in desperation revives Marka Ragnos, who possesses Tavion's body to fight Jaden. Jaden ultimately wins and destroys the scepter, releasing all of the force energy it ever stored, and it seals Ragnos back in his grave. Tavion's body couldn't handle the possession though. She dies as soon as he leaves her body. Jaden is then congratulated and honored as a member of the Jedi Order, and he continues to go and do missions. And that's the light side ending, which is considered canon to the now non-canon expanded universe. Thanks, Disney! As for the dark side ending, well, Jaden wastes no time in killing Tavion, but Kyle rushes in to try to stop Jaden. So the dark side story has the final boss be Kyle Katarn, your former teacher. The fight ends in a stalemate as Jaden causes a rock pile to fall onto Kyle before escaping. Kyle takes full responsibility of the situation and goes after Jaden, who takes control of the nearby Star Destroyer and blasts off. This ending is considered non-canon, which makes sense considering that Dark Forces 2's dark side ending is considered non-canon as well. Still a more cohesive canon than the Sonic series, am I right? Well, that was a story. I'll admit it's not the strongest story out there, but I'll gladly play through this instead of watching Attack of the Clones again.
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
I feel like such an unworthy parent.
Jedi Outcast clearly had the better story here, but how does the gameplay stack up? And that's what we're going to find out right now. The game is a mixture of first-person shooting and third-person platforming and exploration. The game does do one thing better than Outcast by giving you a lightsaber from the get-go. In Jedi Outcast, you spent hours doing mercenary missions before you got your lightsaber back, and while not terrible, it was a lot slower paced, so I'm glad Jedi Academy just gets it over with. Ground control is the same as Jedi Outcast, and as a result, Quake 3. Did I forget to mention that both Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy are actually based on the gameplay engine of Quake 3 Arena? Anyway, it's smooth and responsive, and jumping is one of the most satisfying things to do in this game. The third-person camera is a new addition to the engine that Outcast had, and it works really well. Lightsaber combat has been improved substantially over Outcast, which was great to begin with, as each style of saber has its own distinct moves and techniques you can begin to pull off. Academy takes things many steps further and creates more combos, tricks, and all sorts of cool things. Jedi Outcast didn't really state too many of the moves you can do, but Academy has a handy menu where you can see what exactly you can do, and how far along you need to be in the game before you can pull it off. This is awesome, as it makes you feel more like a Jedi. Beyond the extra moves, lightsaber combat is about as perfect as you can get. Your swings are based on what direction you're going, and many attacks can be chained together for an amazing offense. Don't even get me started on switching combat styles mid-fight. Great way to throw the enemy off, and as a result be able to dish out more pain. You can also attack while jumping, which is a major plus. I mentioned all the weapons earlier, so I don't need to repeat it, but first-person shooting does feel good. You just won't be doing it too often in this game. Almost all threats in this game can be taken out with force powers in your lightsaber, so there are only a few instances where a weapon is the better choice. In the PC version, force powers are able to be bound to specific keys or be chosen in a menu. I have a particular setup that I've carried over from Jedi Outcast multiplayer, as you can see here. Nothing is more satisfying than chaining force abilities together to create an amazing offense. Plus, I have a horrible addiction to pushing stormtroopers off of cliffs. Bon voyage! There are times when the game gives you elements that make you think about force power selections in future runs, such as Vajun, where acid rain is abundant. The game won't outright tell you this, but if you max out Force Protect before coming here, the acid rain won't be an issue whatsoever. This is hinted at by Kyle's use of the power during your journey. And this is something I purposely didn't do in my dark side playthroughs, so yeah, I got hurt a lot on Vajun. Another example is one I mentioned before, about dealing with the battle droids on Coruscant, as maxing Force Lightning out before getting here makes them a non-issue. The stage length isn't actually as varied as I thought it would be. Each mission took about the same length within each tier, with some exceptions being the merchant shipwreck and the speeder ride in Untitled 5. Oh, can we talk about that for a second? Vehicles. Jedi Outcast used vehicles very sparingly. Actually, the only instance I can remember of an actual vehicle was the one level where you could pilot an AT-ST. In Jedi Academy, the two main things you can ride are a Tauntaun on Hoth and a speeder on Zanju 5. I don't know what it is about the controls on these things, but turning around gets a lot stiffer when riding them. This is especially apparent with the speeder, because the level almost demands that you be able to turn around quickly, as cultists are zooming at you and shooting you with their own speeders. But you can't! And it kinda sucks. You're also very limited on weapon usage on these things. With the Tauntaun, you can either whip out your lightsaber, or point an E11 rifle at your enemies. Take a guess at which option was better. On a speeder, you get access to the speeder's turrets, but I also found those inaccurate. I swear, anything a stormtrooper touches is immediately cursed with bad aim. I guess I should go over individual force powers to clear things up, huh? Well, let's make this easy. Jump, self-explanatory. Push, same. Pull, same. Speed, same. Heal, same. Protect, same. Lightning, same. Lightsaber offense, defense, same. Saber throw, same. And now for some details. Force Sense is an ability where you can detect people and objects through walls, as well as hidden markings. Force Absorb is a power where a Jedi can turn Force attacks on him into Force energy he can use later. Drain is the opposite. It's an attack that drains life energy from enemies and converts it into health. Grip is the power Darth Vader used to choke the jerk in A New Hope. Except here, you can actually levitate your enemy, and if maxed out, swing them all over the place. Let them go over a pit, and listen to them cry from mummy. Lastly, Dark Rage is a power where you can pour your health energy into additional combat strength and speed, but if you run low, you'll become weaker temporarily. You can also crawl and somersault if you need to, and there are a few instances where you'll need to at least crawl. Somersaulting is faster though, and not clumsy like in Sonic Adventure 2. Hey, it's a SpeedySpikes video, I had to mention Sonic at least once, right? So overall, you had great control, amazing lightsaber combat potential, and a large arsenal of force powers at your disposal. The way I see it, the combination is the perfect recipe for an amazing experience. But one thing remains, the level design. Yes, things are self-contained for the most part, but the missions themselves are fun to play and provide you with a comfortable level of action and enemy count to make it not a total breeze, but also not blinking impossible. And there are also no stealth levels where you can't be seen by any Imperial soldiers or else you get a game over. Your objective is clearly given before you start the mission and during your mission in case something changes, so you shouldn't be too lost on where you need to go. Except for the few instances where I got lost. I can see a first-timer getting lost in Mos Eisley, but I got lost on Dosun. There was an area where I had to run outside, and I just kept running in circles. I couldn't find it. Besides that, no issues. And if you do get lost, some of the time Force Sense will help you figure out your next location, so progression and design works too. Alright, I can't hold back anymore. It's criminal how underrated this game is. It's easily one of the best Star Wars games ever made. I may personally prefer Jedi Outcast, but this game's quality is undeniable. Great control, great characters, great action, okay story, and great lightsaber combat make this game stand out among others, even within the Star Wars series. The foundation is incredible, and it did nothing but improve on what Jedi Outcast offered. Yeah, except the story, but that's another issue altogether. Using the Force feels so natural and satisfying to use, and that lightsaber combat! Like, there's a clear foundation for future games. I can't imagine why there wasn't another game in the... What the crap, there almost was? Yeah, apparently there was going to be a direct sequel to Jedi Outcast. Star Wars Jedi Knight 3, Brink of Darkness, was planned to be the ending of Kyle Katarn's story. But after Jedi Academy was finished, LucasArts decided not to move forward with the series. Heck, we wouldn't have even known about it if a potential logo wasn't in the reference book Road Leaders, the story of LucasArts. I'm actually very disappointed this didn't get further along. LucasArts and Raven Software had an amazing foundation with Jedi Outcast and Academy. It would have worked perfectly. But alas, no chance of that happening now, what with LucasArts completely gone, and the Star Wars video game franchise currently in the hands of EA. Ugh, that's a topic for another day. Alright, going off script here, I had a couple brief segments here in the review where I was going to go over what I thought about Jedi Fallen Order, or better yet, the fact that I can only speculate about Jedi Fallen Order because nothing had been revealed. But unfortunately, the review was written back in a time where absolutely nothing was given about Jedi Fallen Order except for its name. So now that there's gameplay footage and a release date, I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't attract me. I actually don't really see how I personally can get into a game like Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, it's not gonna be a bad game. I can really see it working for people that enjoy slower adventure games like Uncharted. But I prefer something that's faster and flashy, like Jedi Outcast and Academy. I keep bringing up Jedi Outcast. I'll review it eventually, but not right now. But I'm just going to say that Jedi Fallen Order, while I do not think it will be a bad game, and will be very successful if it wasn't releasing the same day as Pokemon Sword and Shield, I think it's just not something that I can personally get into. I will stick to Dark Forces, thank you. There's just something about the Dark Forces series, I think it's the speed and general action that the game provides that really appeals to me. So, yeah, I'm not dissing Jedi Fallen Order at all. I think it will be a very successful game. It's just not a game for me. Alright, back to the script. Now, I can't do a review of Jedi Academy without talking about its multiplayer mode. Unfortunately, in all the multiplayer footage I recorded, I accidentally left the music on. So because of that, I had to mute all the footage. Sorry! Anyway, Jedi Academy, just like Jedi Outcast, like I said before, is built upon id Tech 3, the Quake 3 Arena engine. Quake 3 Arena was a multiplayer-centered game, so theoretically, any game using the engine should have amazing multiplayer, right? Right on the money! Jedi Academy takes every element from the single-player game and merges it flawlessly with Quake 3's frantic multiplayer action. Up to 32 players in a map, weapons allowed, saber customization, force powers aplenty, go nuts! It's amazing playing this game and Jedi Outcast online. Even if the server sets you to only use a lightsaber and no force powers, you're still in for a rip-roaring good time. What makes it even better is that basically any and all characters from the story are able to be selected for multiplayer, and everyone is allowed to use a lightsaber. Boba Fett with a saber staff? Got it. Snowtrooper with dual sabers? Here you go. Lando with a single saber? Extremely possible. You can also customize your own character just like the story mode, so all bases are covered. You can choose a side for your force powers, and game servers will set how many force points you can get. So just like the main game, you won't be able to select every force power. Pick and choose wisely. This is of course assuming the server doesn't toggle no force power mode, where all players get a level 1 force jump and nothing else. There are a few game modes in Jedi Academy, some returning from Jedi Outcast and some new. Free-for-all is self-explanatory, everyone's on their own competing for the top. Duel sees two people fighting each other in a small arena, and the loser swaps out. Power Duel is a new one, the main difference being it's 2 against 1, instead of 1-on-1. Siege, unfortunately I can't show off today because bots aren't allowed and I don't trust online servers anymore, but it's a mode where players work in teams to accomplish a mission. For instance, one team defends a base while the other tries to infiltrate it. It's a game mode with a foundation that's pretty standard these days in multiplayer shooters like Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch. So then, the game has standard Capture the Flag and Team Free-for-all modes. Missing from Jedi Outcast are Jedi Master and Capture the Calamari. Jedi Master I especially miss. It was a mode where everyone starts with no powers and just weapons, with a lightsaber in the middle of the map. Whoever holds the lightsaber gets all the force powers, and points are only gained as the Jedi Master. Why there isn't a mod that brings the game mode back is beyond me. Capture the Calamari was basically Capture the Flag, but the flag holder can't use any force powers. If I have one major criticism about Jedi Academy's multiplayer besides the lack of Jedi Master though, it's the number of maps. Jedi Outcast was filled with tons of maps you can play on in multiple game modes, and Jedi Academy doesn't live up to that at all. First off, maps are linked to one single game mode only, and while in Jedi Outcast, maps dedicated to Capture the Flag, as an example, could also be played in free-for-all. This means free-for-all only gives you 5 maps instead of Jedi Outcast's 11. Forever disappointed. That is until I decided to spice up my Jedi Academy experience by porting the Jedi Outcast maps over to Academy. For reasons I won't explain, I have a pretty good understanding of how id Tech 3 works, so it was a matter of finding the right data files and textures in Jedi Outcast and sending them over in an add-on package for Academy. And voila! Jedi Academy multiplayer is instantly more fun. Playing with the much better saber combat in Bespin Streets or the Death Star is like a dream come true for me. I'm glad I just sat down and did it. If there's enough demand, I can do a video demonstrating how I did it down the road. But for now, enjoy some footage of me kicking bots' butts. Again, with very unfitting music. I think enough has been said about this game. Jedi Academy is one of the landmark titles in the Star Wars franchise, and a perfect example of how to do lightsaber combat in a video game. It's just a shame that other games haven't followed up with the foundation that these games developed, because we could have had amazing games involving usage of the delicate balance of lightsaber combat and force abilities that even surpassed Jedi Academy. But as of now, we don't. As I stated before, LucasArts is no more because of the Disney buyout. And I don't even know what Raven Software was doing anymore. Are they even still active? EA has the license to Star Wars and they've barely done anything with it besides give Battlefield a Star Wars coat of paint and send it back home. But the legacy of Jedi Academy does live on in one new little thing. And it's a big thing. A project called Star Wars Movie Battles 2. It's a complete overhaul of Jedi Academy that recreates key battles from the movies and makes them into siege maps. Because of this, the level of customization is also unlimited. You can have Obi-Wan Kenobi protecting the rebel troops from Darth Vader's invasion of the Tantive 4. Or, you can have Luke Skywalker fight Darth Maul in Theed Palace. Telling you, they're really making this as fan servicey as possible. I tried to give the game a shot, I honestly did. But every time I tried to connect to the game servers, I couldn't find any games. I don't know if I was connecting at a bad time or something, but there was no way I could give the game a shot. And again, because it's siege mode, the game won't spawn any bots. Because of that, the footage you're seeing is from the project's own YouTube channel. Again, very sorry for the lack of footage for siege mode and movie battles too. But it is what it is. With that said, I highly recommend giving Jedi Academy a shot. You can find a demo of it on JK Hub, a site dedicated to the Jedi Knight series that hosts demos and mods for the games. And it shouldn't be too expensive nowadays to find a PC copy. I think the game's also on Steam, GOG, and all that stuff. Seriously, if you're a Star Wars fan and are looking for a fantastic lightsaber combat experience, look no further than Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. This has been SS Reviews. Tune in next time for... I don't know what's next. I guess you'll just have to see. Bye, everyone!